If you're going to use StatKey to determine the correlation between two variables or to find the equation of a regression line, the main thing is to get the data entry correct. After you have the data entered, there really isn't anything else to do, so you have to make sure that part's done right. Here's an example we can use as a prop. We have the income and food expenditures for a month for 7 households there in the data table. There's our sample data where we have 2 measurements on each of 7 individuals. We're going to find the correlation between the 2 variables, and then we're going to find the equation of a linear regression line for predicting food expenditure from income. For the correlation, it wouldn't matter which variable you consider to be the explanatory variable and which one you consider to be the response variable, but we're going to do both of these things at once, and it does matter for the regression line. So we're going to consider food expenditure to be the response variable and income to be the explanatory variable based on what's there in that last bullet point. For anything related to regression or correlation, the option that you want in StatKey is 2 quantitative variables in the left column at the very bottom of the descriptive statistics and graphs part. After you click on 2 quantitative variables, this is what you get. The first thing you want to do is go to Edit Data, which is why that's highlighted in this picture. After you click on Edit Data, you'll have the preloaded data set that's in there, which is the screenshot that's on the left of your screen right now. Once you clear that out, there are 2 ways that you can input the data, either with no header, where it's completely blank, like that screenshot in the center, or if you want to use a header, that's fine. That's like the one on the right. Just make sure that if you're going to use a header, that data has header row is checked toward the bottom, and if you're not going to use a header, data has header row is unchecked toward the bottom. Lastly, in the screenshot that's on the right, since the regression line is supposed to predict food expenditure from income, and if you're going to use StatKey to determine the equation of a regression line, you have to input the data as x variable comma y variable for each individual. So here our x, our explanatory variable, is income, so that has to go first. There's the sample data entered into the edit data box. The screenshot on the left is without a header. The screenshot on the right is with a header. Either way, you'll end up with the same correlation and equation of the regression line. After you finish entering the sample data and click OK, this is what you end up with. The scatter plot takes up a lot of the screen, but the thing you really want is the summary statistics box. In particular, you want the last 3 items. The correlation is there, 0.972, so there really isn't anything else you have to do there. The slope and intercept are there for the equation of the regression line. If you have to write out the equation of the regression line from there, just make sure you don't forget the hat over the y. Now to go through this in real time. The option that you want in StatKey is 2 quantitative variables, then edit data, clear all this preloaded data out. I'm going to do it without a header row because in this notepad file I just have the numbers with no header. And then OK. There. The same thing that's in that PowerPoint. There is another way to get the data into StatKey, which is to import from a CSV file. Here's my CSV file where I have income and food in these first 2 columns. And then if I go to StatKey, 2 quantitative variables. Now instead of edit data, if I select upload file, and then income food, that's what that CSV file is called. If I open that, this is what you end up with, where then you just have to identify which variable is your explanatory variable and which one's your response variable. The explanatory variable is the x variable, and we're supposed to be predicting food expenditure from income. Income is the x, and then that means that food is the y. You just have to click on those in the order of x, then y to specify which is which, and then OK. And if you look at the summary statistics box, we get the exact same thing we were getting before. One last thing that I want to point out is that you can switch the variables if you want. So if you accidentally put the variables in wrong, if you go up to change columns, there. That's to predict income from food expenditure. So this isn't the one that we actually want, but I just wanted to show you how straightforward that is. You don't have to go back and recreate a CSV file to get that to work if you've got the variables reversed by accident.